Y'all, listen. If there is one thing I've learned, adversity does not build character. Adversity reveals character. I'm Barbie Bassett, and I invite you to join me and my friends, Therese, Apel, and Tracy Lee, as we peel back those adversity layers to see what else is revealed. Welcome back to Y'all Listen Here, where we are talking about really deep stuff today. But oh boy, we are excited for what we are even going to hear today. I'm Barbie Bassett. So glad to have you here. I've got my good friend, Therese Apel with Dark Horse Press. Hey, Therese.
Hey, Barbie.
That rhymes
hey,
every time
everybody.
I say that.
I know it does, I
Therese
guess.
with Dark Horse Press.
That was not intentional.
That was not intentional.
It was not intentional.
And typically we have our good friend Tracy Lee with us, but Tracy is the boss. So Tracy is missing with us again today because she is busy working, but we will see her again soon. In fact, we saw her yesterday, had our luncheon with her. She's doing great. She will be back with us. And we must say a big thank you to Daniel Anderson, who is our podcast producer. Hey, Daniel.
If you need a podcast, that is your guy.
He is your guy with Audio Alchemy Productions. He's the one who makes this podcast possible for us. And so give Daniel a call if you've thought about, hey, I've got something I want to talk about. He would be your man. We are thrilled to have a guest and a really good friend of Therese's. She was the one who suggested, but please welcome to the Y'all Listen Here podcast, Belle Russell. Hey, Belle.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, Therese, tell me how you know Belle.
So years ago, and this is a little bit of a story, I'll make it quick. I was doing all my investigative work on gangs in Mississippi. And so I was looking into gangs in Jackson, and I called Brother Jeff Parker at Southside because I'd gotten an email from a guy I'd never met that was like, Southside Baptist Church has a gang ministry. And I was like, sweet, that's what I want. So I called Brother Jeff, and he starts off by saying, I don't want to talk to you about that. I want to talk to you about our homeless ministry. And I was like, we can do that. That's cool. And so I end up talking to him on the phone for a little bit, and I say, well, I'll come to Southside and I'll do an interview with you and the associate pastor at the time, Reggie Glenn. So I went and sat down and talked to them, and usually that kind of interview should be about an hour long. I sat there for more than 3 hours with them, and I cried, and and it wasn't just about the homeless or the gangs or anything. It was about, the mission of the church in Jackson and the burden on all of our hearts for what goes on in the inner city. So at that point I was like, well, I don't want this to be all there is. And I'd taken a picture of the front of the church and a picture of Brother Jeff and Brother Reggie. And then I was like, I'll come back on Sunday and I'll shoot some video, oh, okay. And so I said, you know what? I may come back. I may try and get some art for the story. I'll come on Sunday probably. And they were like, sure. And at this point I was in a place in my life where I would tell people, me and Jesus are fine, but I want nothing to do with the church. Church overall, no, thank you. And so I go to this church, and I was shooting some video, and there's a little table over in the corner of the sanctuary, and I was sitting over there. I think I cried from the minute the music started all the way until it was over. And then I had to go find people to interview about the church. And so I'm walking up to people with mascara all over my face, just like, hey, guys. And I could tell they were already like, we got her. And so one of the people that they brought me was Belle and her husband. We just call him Russell. And so they came over, and as we talked, they introduced all their kids. They've got 7 children. And I remember trying to remember all the names and trying to write them all down. And one of the things that Russell said that has never left me, but he was just talking about the church, and he said, there's food here. And he wasn't talking about actual food. He was talking about spiritual food. And that was what my spirit had felt.
Yeah.
The whole time was like, for the first time in so long, I'm being poured into, I'm being fed. And so at some point, Belle and I began to talk, and she had lost her mom to cancer at some point also. And I think that was where, we had connected anyway, because that's the nature of the church. But I think that was where we realized we had more in common than we thought.
Well, and yesterday when we knew that Tracy was not going to be able to make it with us today, and we were like, who can we talk to? And you brought Belle up.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, we've got to hear this conversation. So I'm so glad that all of you are joining us right now to hear Belle's story. So I'll kind of set it up for you. You just mentioned, Therese, that Belle, you and your husband have 7 children. What a perfect number, right? 7.
Yeah.
There's a holy number, right? That is
Yeah.
that is the perfect number. But y'all found yourself homeless.
Mhm.
Let's get to before the homeless moment. Y'all are living in a home, an apartment. Tell me about that.
So we're actually living down the street from the church.
Okay.
We had just started going to Southside, and we were renting from this place, and they had lost all of their properties, but they hadn't informed anybody that they had lost the properties. They kept taking the rent for months, like everything was normal, no warning,
Right.
no anything. So we get to the rental property to pay our rent. I mean, the rental place to pay the rent. There's what do you call it? The constable. There's the sheriff department, and there you see them carrying all these boxes out, and I'm like, wait a minute, did they move? And I go in, and there's this official guy sitting behind the desk, and he's like, what's your business here? And I'm like, this was where I pay my rent. And he goes on to tell us about the scam they had been running for months, and in a matter of minutes, our life was changed. We didn't know what we were gonna do. So
Wow. So just to break it all down, y'all are renting property for you and your husband. And you said at the time you had 6
6
children.
kids.
Okay.
Yeah.
Were you pregnant with your 7th?
I didn't know it at the time.
Okay. Gotcha. Gotcha. So y'all are paying on time your rent.
Yes.
You're going to pay your rent for the month.
Yes.
And you find out it's been taken over.
Yes. And we're not going to be able to get any of the money back that we paid into the company for this time. And so
So what do you do?
first we kind of bounce around to family for a couple of months. It doesn't work out, and there's this big falling out between me, my mom, and my husband,
Mm-hmm.
and her husband at the time. And we leave, and we're just driving around, and I'm like, you know what? Let's just go park on the side of the church, and we're just gonna rest tonight, and we'll get up in the morning, and we'll figure something out. And it's a Saturday morning. Who comes to church on Saturday
Right.
except Brother
Except
Jeff?
Brother Jeff. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the kids, we grabbed some really weird stuff and just threw it in the trunk of our truck at the time. And the kids have these bikes in the back seat in the trunk. So they're out riding the bikes, and Brother Jeff's over at the church. And I guess he sees us from his office, and he comes over. He's like, what's going on? And he gets Reggie on the phone, and we're connected with Winger Home.
Yes.
And we began to kind of try to rebuild ourselves. The funny part about it, if we wouldn't have went through this, I don't think I would have bothered with homeless ministry. I don't think
Right.
I would have. Because, again, I did have this bias about homeless people. They're either drug addicts or they're crazy people. There's
Mhm.
no real story behind these people. They're just faceless people that you pass at the gas station and maybe blindly throw $1 to when you feel like it. There's no ministry here. So we're going through this horrible time in our life, and I'm battling with depression, and I'm asking God to show me, what is this all supposed to mean? What is all of this? I'm just looking for any type of anything at this point, because it's just a numbing depression.
So during this time, during this homeless time where, y'all have nowhere to go, you've got your van,
Mm-hmm.
some of the kids' stuff, some of their toys, I gather, with
Yeah.
having the bikes and whatnot. Was your husband working? Were you working?
He was working at the time. By the
Okay.
time we got to the Winger home, I found out that I was pregnant, and I was basically supposed to be on like bed rest because, again, it was I was in my 30s, and they.
Okay, so the high risk
Yeah.
pregnancies. Yeah.
Yes.
I
hate when they
remember.
call it a geriatric.
I was just going to
pregnancy.
say,
Yeah,
when they
that's-
said geriatric, I
We're
was
like,
like,
what? I know. I've been there a few times.
But we're living at the Winger home, and it's crazy because he was working. He
Mhm.
gets fired from his job.
Oh, no.
And I'm on my way to go pick him up, and I'm coming up Lakeland, and I'm just crying out to God. And that was the first time I experienced pure joy. I had no idea what was going to happen next. Mandel's lost his job. We're living in a shelter. We have these kids. You feeling like a failure as a parent. And in the middle of me just crying out to God, there was this overwhelming joy. That's the only way I can explain it to this day. Just this, it wasn't happiness because nothing was
Nothing
happening
was happy in
for
your life.
happiness.
Yeah.
And along with that joy just came this overwhelming sense of protection and peace. And by the time I got to Mandel, he's like, Belle, I don't know what we're going to do. Like, you know what? God got this.
So Mandel is your husband's
Oh, yeah.
name? Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha. But you were calling him Therese. You're calling him
well,
Russell.
yeah, we all call him Russell.
Gotcha.
So, but Mandel is his first name.
So during this time of your homelessness, how old were the kids? Were they like all under the age of 10, or did you have some that were older?
Basically, I think my oldest was 12, maybe. She might have been 11 or 12.
So several of them are school age.
Yes. So, I don't know. I have the greatest, craziest kids in the world.
She does. No, these kids are hilarious and they're awesome.
And they just seem to trust and understand that, okay, one, God's got us. Two, I know that my parents trust, so I trust. One of the things that I love that my kids say about us is that I'm able to trust God because I watched y'all trust God.
Whoa.
And it's never been easy. And that's one of the things as a parent you worry about, how bad am I messing this kid up?
Yes, I agree with that. I want to go back to that comment that your kids were able to trust because they saw your trust in Father God.
And I mean, it hasn't been easy. It has been a struggle and I feel like even now with my walk with Christ now, it's like you learn God in these different phases. You learn these different characteristics about God. And my first characteristic with God was to trust.
Well, and that's what I was going to ask you, because if I remember right, didn't y'all start going to Southside because of some of the children's ministries? And you were just kind of like, yeah, it's a church, send the kids to church.
Yes.
And then, so how far were you in your Christian journey at this point?
Oh, I was a hardcore against God.
Yeah.
I had called myself an atheist for so long.
Really?
My oldest child, I guess she was going to church with maybe my sister. I don't know. That was the whole time when the drinking and the weed and the pills, that was all that time. But she would come home every day, y'all. Mama, Jesus loves you. I'm like, girl, no. No.
So your own child was ministering to you.
And y'all, she was about 4 or 5 years old.
Yeah.
And she had gotten a flyer from school about Southside, Fall Harvest. I wanted nothing to do with Fall Harvest. I wanted nothing to do with this church. And like Therese, when I went, y'all, who does this? It's a Halloween alternative. It's just Fall Harvest. It's a bunch of candy and kids hanging out. But how do you incorporate the Spirit of God at Fall Harvest?
Right.
Never in a million years did I think I would meet Christ at this event. Like, from the time I walked through the door, there's just this presence. There's just this, I don't know. It's something that you have to see to believe. Like,
it's like we can tell people about this feeling at Southside, and everybody's like, I mean, is it a cult? Because you're awfully enthusiastic about your church. And we're like, no, dude, like you just got to come. You can't explain it right. It's just like
something
the way
you have
we are
to
practically
see.
family, or we are family sitting here. That's you walk in the door and it's already there. Like everyone in there is broken and comes from something that they can't really explain. But then once you get there, it's just, oh, this is where I should be.
But isn't that supposed to be what the church is?
That's what heaven is.
I just need to sit here for a moment and unpack the fact that this church was obviously doing outreach and inviting people to come to their fall festival. At my church, we call it Fall Festival, Fall Fest. And you're thinking as a parent, hey, I've heard that the church has got some things for the kids. This will be a great babysitting service
Yes.
kind of
Yeah.
thought going around. I know, I've thought
Because,
it too.
I mean, I wanted to go to a Halloween party.
Yeah.
Sure.
When I tell you God puts his hand on everything, everything. We had 3 parties we were going to that night. Fall Festival started at 6. By 6:15, all 3 of the parties that we were supposed to attend were canceled.
Whoa.
That's God.
And my daughter's like, Mom, we can still go to the church. I pull up on the church parking lot mad because this is the last place I wanted to be.
Mm.
But God knew that was the only place I needed to be. If it wasn't for this little fall harvest, I never would have made it to Southside. I wouldn't be sitting here today. I'd probably be still my worst nightmare of a self.
And so it was that event that brought you guys to Southside. And it was because of that feeling that you got at Southside that you felt like it was a safe place to park when you found
Yeah.
yourself with no home.
Yeah.
And then Brother Jeff comes out and he's ministering to you guys even just by bringing y'all snacks and taking care of the kids.
All of this, that's the crazy part. So we come that October to the fall harvest. We end up homeless that April. My husband, mom's died 2 days later. So
he's lost his job and his mom, and you guys have lost your home.
it's
And all
like,
you know is let's go to the church and park there because we'll be safe.
I mean, we were riding around trying to think of somewhere safe to go. It's Jackson.
Yeah.
Because you're
No one
living,
safe to go.
yeah, you're living in your vehicle at this point
Yes.
with 6 kids
Yes. And one on the way.
and one on the way. First of all, I hope churches are listening to this because when you think that your activities, that your Sunday school, that your life groups, that your fun activities are falling on deaf ears, they're not. They're not. And if you're listening to this right now and you're thinking, hey, should we do something like this or what can we do? There is an opportunity out there for people who are truly searching because you never know what's going to happen in your life. So everything's rocking along just fine. I mean, did I understand you correctly saying that there were some drugs involved or you were not living the Christian life? Okay. So in your world, everything's fine.
Yeah.
Everything's fine.
Everything. What is the statement everybody likes to use? I'm a good person. God knew my heart.
Yes.
Right.
So
I was
you're
living my
living,
truth. Yeah.
you're living that way. Y'all get this flyer. You go to the
Yes.
church fall festival. And what are your thoughts when you're there at that church fall festival? Like, okay, this is
When
fun.
I pull up, I have these, you have these, it's church. People going to judge you. They're going to be stuck up. They're going to be, no. Everything about this church is intentional. Everything about the actions of the people are intentional. From the time we walked in the door, we were greeted with warm smiles and just, at first I did think it was a cult.
Well, and I want to add too, just also, this was what hit me when I was there, and I don't know if it was the same for you. This is black and white and Hispanic people all at this church.
Yeah.
We're not talking about like everybody looks like me. You go in there from people from the street all the way up to like doctors from the suburbs. You've got every kind of person in this church. When I walked in and I didn't feel like I was in the big church and I didn't feel like I was in a small church. I felt like I was at the grocery store.
Yeah.
Everybody's different. You know?
Hey, isn't that what heaven's going to look like though?
Yes. And I mean, coming alongside of Southside and getting to be, and I tell people, going to Southside, it is a privilege to go to Southside.
Yeah,
it is.
I mean, and sometimes we take it for granted that God has provided these places where we can go and be so much. Because I've been to churches, and that's what turned me off from church. I've been to these churches that, if you give all this money, you'll be happy. You won't. Oh, you're not happy because you're not giving enough money, or you're not happy because you're not following these rules of the Old Testament.
Mm-hmm.
I was a little bit ashamed when I got to Southside because I honestly didn't know who Jesus was. Like, I had heard about God, and I thought Jesus was just this little thing that you say. It's like a stamp on your prayer. If you say in Jesus' name, then it's going to come true. He's like the part that makes your wish come true.
Right.
And the part that broke me the most at Southside was understanding who he was and what he did. And when I hear something or I'm going to be believing in something, y'all, I don't just be like, oh, yeah, faith, I'm going to believe. No, I had to go against it really hard at first. Like, I had to prove that these people at this church are just like every other church. They're lying about who this person is. But something about the church, I was like, it's different. It's not fancy clothes on Sunday morning. It's not, um, oh, I'm a part of this group and I'm a part of this group and there's these cliques that's built into the church. It's, why are these people like this? And that's why I kept coming. Why are these people like this? There's no way that these people are like this. This is an act. And that's what I kept telling myself. And the more I kept telling myself that, the more I kept trying to figure out, what is it about these people? Whatever it was, whatever Kool-Aid they were drinking, I needed to drink it.
Well, I have got chills, literally. The hairs are standing up on my arms because you said something so revelatory. You said, I didn't know who Jesus really was.
Yes.
You're in the state of Mississippi,
Mhm.
where there is a church typically
Everywhere.
on every corner. You're in the United States of America, where we have missionaries, Christian missionaries all over and even abroad. But yet you're saying you had heard of Jesus, but you really didn't know who Jesus really was. I'm just sitting here. My mind is blown at this point.
And I think that's, I mean, there are people that you hear that story from time to time. Somebody says that, and we tend to just take it like, oh, I didn't know who Jesus really was, like the way you know of someone and you just don't know them that well. But like there are people really that are not hearing the message of, like I read something not long ago, a woman saying, I just didn't realize that Jesus, this Jesus we talk about all the time, had actually died for
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize he had risen again. You know, and what Belle said, like I just heard the name a lot and I associated
Yeah.
it with church.
Well, and I tell you why my mind is blown. It's not one from a judgmental standpoint. It's one from the standpoint of we as a church
Yeah.
have failed, number one.
Mhm.
Number two, we as Christians have failed.
I mean,
Because for you to be around people who say that they're Christians
yes.
on a daily basis, and I'm sure that you probably were around people who would say, yeah, I know exactly who God is. I'm a Christian. I'm going to heaven. For you to be around those people every day and for you to be around churches every day, but yet we have failed to share who Jesus is. To me, I am
And
sorry.
It was, and that's what makes Southside unique. Because you're right, I had been to churches. The behaviors, when some churches you go to, it's like when you're reading the New Testament, it's the Pharisees. They got all these rules and they got all these traditions and they got all these things that's heaped on you, and religion becomes burdensome, and you begin to hate it. I had been in a God, you do you, and I'm gonna do me
Yeah.
type life for about, I don't know, probably since I was 13. I got mad at God and I just wrote him off. And the more Christian behavior that I saw, the further I wanted to distance myself from God. But then I come to this church and these people are different and I don't understand why they're different. Why aren't they judging me? Why aren't they with all these rules? Why are they the way that they are? Okay, forget about it. I'm going to drink the Kool-Aid. Why are these people like this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and Brother Jeff is Brother Jeff.
Yeah.
Don't take it for my word. Read it for yourself.
That's right.
I can't read it for myself. I don't own a Bible, so I steal one from the church.
which is such a good part of this story. I feel like this is the example right here, because when we get into all the things Belle is doing now, and I'm getting choked up because she's talking about this phase in her life, and I know her children, and her children are amazing, godly, kind, incredible people. And so to know the end of this story for me is so moving. But I love that part of the story because it's like when God wants you, He's gonna find ways to make sure that you hear Him and you see Him, even if it means I don't have a Bible. I'm just gonna lift this one.
Yeah.
They're free. You can have any
Yes,
Bible in
yes.
this.
Yeah.
But I mean, I needed to understand why these people believed, and I tried to put a logical explanation to logics and God. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
I tried to make it a logical thing. I tried to understand what these people were doing, and God has a sense of humor because Miss Irene, this little old white lady, y'all, I drove this lady crazy. I started going to her class, and I would ask a million questions, and she was unbelievably patient with me. She was understanding. She didn't get angry. And I mean, I would have been angry at me because I would take a hour-long class and listen, okay, why did they do that? Why did they do that? And why did they do that? And why did they do that? And she would just sit there, and we never got done with a Sunday school lesson. We might have got through one or two verses. Because I had, up until that point, I hadn't actually read the Bible. I had attended church. I had attended worship services, but I hadn't actually, like Brother Jeff always makes that analogy. I know Donald Trump because he's the president. I see him on TV. I don't know Donald Trump.
Right.
I know of him, but I don't know him. So getting to understand first who God is and then who Jesus is, and then that whole Holy Trinity thing.
Right.
Well, I have so many takeaways just from this conversation. Obviously, this is going to take longer than a conversation because you are just so full of a wealth of knowledge. First of all, having come from, having everything that you needed or wanted to losing that, being homeless. And then you find out that this Jesus person, there's a whole lot more to him than you had ever heard of. I kind of want us to stop the conversation here because those of you who are listening to this podcast or you're watching this is so much to share. And I can't wait to hear the second part. We're going to have to do a second part. What we're going to do is we're going to continue this conversation over on our Patreon channel. We'll be sure that we've got the link here so that way you can see it. In the meantime, this has been heavy. Just this first part has been heavy for me to listen to. So thank you, Belle, for sharing this. We're going to encourage you to tune in with us next time, hear more of Belle's story because we've just scratched the surface, right?
Right. Well, and I do want to add, Belle and I would both tell you we're not the people that are like, you should come to my church. Oh my gosh. But if you'd like to come to Southside Baptist Church this week, it is
There's
at
a plug right there.
800 Raymond Road. Sunday school starts at 9. Church starts at 10:15.
And you get free soup on Wednesday night.
And there's free soup on Wednesday nights, and it's good soup,
It's
too.
really good soup.
Yeah.
Even better. Okay, we will see y'all again on Y'all Listen Here.